All right, thanks for sitting with me, Chapstick, aka Daddy Sweet Roll.
It's always a pleasure.
I appreciate it. So how'd you get the name Daddy Sweet Roll?
Well, my favorite thing to pack for food, is mainly for lunch, is King's Hawaiian sweet rolls. Been doing that for a couple years now, and usually I like to build myself a little ham and cheese or salami and cheese sandwich with some habanero hot sauce for lunch. And a couple years ago I got really tired of tortillas, and that was the next best thing by a mile. And as I've been going along so far, everyone seems to be really enthused by the idea, and I sort of have started a little mini cult of people who are all resupplying on Hawaiian sweet rolls. So shout out to King's Hawaiian sweet rolls.
I'm one of those people. I've also got a bag of sweet rolls since, and they are awesome for doing just that. I've got some pictures of me with like Doritos and peanut butter and just unhinged, disgusting mayo, whatever will fit on there.
Way more tasty than tortillas too, right?
Yes, actually, way more tasty. You have a unique perspective on ultralight. How do you feel about ultralight?
I'm being a little silly when I say it, but I'm also being a little serious, where I kind of think ultralight is really fucking silly. Counting grams to me is just kind of funny because it just doesn't really seem to make a big difference personally. And I don't mean in a strength way, just like if you save 2 grams across 15 different items, you've saved 30 grams. And that's really not a lot. So, I think the common perspective has always been, oh, it adds up. But you're only carrying maybe 15, 25 things on trail. And if you save 3 grams on each, you've saved under half a pound or a quarter of a pound of weight. So you might as well just optimize your money to buy things that get you 85 to 90% of the way to the ultralight category and save the rest for, beer or zeros.
Yeah, comfort, right?
Comfort. If you can hike this far, you can probably carry that extra half pound, 1 pound, even pound and a half all the way to Canada.
I love that. And it's funny because every time I see your tent and your gear, I'm just like, how does he do it? You're killing it.
It's maybe 10 or 15% heavier than your gear. I doubt you would really notice that much.
Yeah, and then I look at your tent and I'm like, man,
it's palatial.
Jealous?
It's just, I can stretch. I can do yoga if I don't do yoga, but if I could, if I wanted to.
I feel like we would be amiss if we didn't speak about our face paint. I didn't realize that we were just casually having this conversation about ultralight, and we look awesome.
Yeah, well, if we were true ultralighters, we might be counting how much grammage we've added to our base weight.
I did actually.
Well, as you know, we're all about to hike the aqueduct, and it seems to be a bit of a tradition to face paint. So I found the lovely Zen. Oh my gosh, I can't remember her other name. I'm just going to call her Zen for now. But she is an actual graphic artist, and I wanted her to paint my face, and she went with the inspiration of Van Gogh's Starry Night, as we are about to do a Starry Night hike.
I love that, and it is definitely showing. You are shining.
Hell yeah.
And I think a part of it too is we're gonna have some glow sticks or something. We might glow in the dark a little bit. We're all doing it at night. You can probably see there's a ton of people behind us. We're all doing it together. It's gonna get wacky.
It's gonna get wild, and I'm really excited, especially for the fact that the moon's not rising till 3 a.m, and it's almost a new moon today. So we should have an incredible view of the stars while we hike today.
I can't wait. So you and I met very early on, one of the first days.
It was day one.
Was it day one?
Yeah, it was day one.
And then separated, and you had to get off trail for a little while. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so I had actually built in a couple of days to get off trail about a week into the hike to go officiate my friend's wedding in Malibu. And since I'm from SoCal, it's very easy. And I'd already developed a bit of a foot injury, so I just added another, I want to say, day and a half or 2 onto that. And went, saw my family, officiated a wedding, saw some friends, and came back ready to hike. And it's been really fun and smooth sailing since. And I think it's also just, a really cool lesson to know when to listen to your body. It's okay to take a break. I skipped some miles for it, and I don't feel any worse for it.
That's awesome. I mean, when like I said, when we first met, you were talking about getting off trail to officiate a wedding, and we all got invested. The Caterpillar group all got invested in some of the stuff that you were talking about, and we were all excited to have you back. You showed up at Warner Springs and just treated everybody with all these treats,
Costco.
The trail magic. We had pizza and probably some sweet rolls.
Cookies, sweet rolls, probably muffins. What else? Yeah, everything from Costco is great.
Beer. Definitely beer.
Yeah. That was really cool to see everyone after a few days away. I was getting a little antsy, Saw you guys, went back, did my thing, and it came back for good. So
super happy to have you back.
Yeah, man, it's good to be back.
And so I want to shift gears just a little bit, because there was something that you were talking about that really interested me. I've been asking most everybody about their experience with building community on trail and how they feel about connecting with nature, instilling compassion in people. And there was one thing that you said that stuck out to me that was somewhat bothersome to you, which I think is the antithesis to that, which is when people offer unsolicited advice. And I wonder if that goes back to the ultralight conversation and things like that. And I wonder if you would like to speak on that.
Yeah, it's quite complicated, I think, because I feel like my whole time that I've been hiking, I get a lot of unsolicited advice on trail from people, not necessarily like through hiking on the PCT, but even on shorter trips and the weekends and things like that. And it's just been this thing that I've always had, no matter how experienced I may or may not be at this kind of in this world. And, I think there are a lot of factors at play. Yes, a lot of people are eager to help, but we've talked about this a little bit, in some of our conversations. I am constantly aware that the trail, as lovely and friendly and amazing as it isn't a very diverse place. And I do notice that as, like someone who's an Asian American on trail, that like I don't see much of, people who aren't white on trail, and it's something that I think about a lot. It's something that I think impacts me and others in a lot of ways that aren't clearly maybe like calculable or tangible, but like is more of a feeling. And I think it's not necessarily just getting unsolicited advice, but it comes off in a lot of ways to me that have been interesting to think about over the years as I've gotten more and more experienced. But yeah, that would be like the very surface level dive into that, I think.
For sure. And I appreciate you touching on that. What do you think we can do to just continue to build community and not fall into those traps? And because I since we've spoken on that, I have noticed it a lot more too. And it's something that I don't think I would have otherwise. And I would like to pay more attention to being a little bit more sensitive to those things. And I wonder what we can do to like make sure that everybody, like, first of all, that we build diversity, right? Because I think that would be a huge win. But also being comfortable, making sure that everyone is comfortable on this trail and in this space.
Yeah, I don't think it's any one singular thing necessarily. I think inclusivity is not something you can kind of snap your fingers and achieve, right? But I think it plays out in a lot of ways that people don't necessarily realize. And what I like to tell people is, when I first started doing backpacking, I found it very difficult to get into because I didn't know a lot of people who already did it. I didn't grow up in that kind of environment. For me, kind of getting into the outdoors was not necessarily encouraged by my family, as a child of immigrants to the United States. And I think it can extend to really small actions, even such as just like how you kind of post and share things on social media. Like one thing that always has bothered me is when people post, these incredible spaces and places to social media, and they almost kind of then like to tell people, oh, I'm not going to tell you where this is because I found this and I think it's special and no one else deserves this unless I deem you worthy, right? It's almost like dangling something in front of your head, and it's always done with this kind of guise of like, oh, I'm trying to protect the environment. When we share places too much, everyone overruns them and it gets destroyed. And that's not necessarily not true, but it's also a pretty bad way to view like everyone other than you and your network's ability to take care of a place, nor is it your job. And it's something that I found to really kind of bother me, because it just raises that bar, that like wall of like how difficult it is to get into something like backpacking and through hiking and, you know, getting a little bit more out there in these outdoor spaces. It really creates this feeling that you're not welcome. And with the prevalence of social media these days and how important it is to kind of spread awareness of everything, right? Literally everything in our lives. I feel like that's one thing I see more often than, like more than anything these days, that I find very bothersome.
I appreciate you sharing your insight on that. And I've really enjoyed getting to know you. I've really enjoyed the time we've had on trail. You're seriously so hilarious, and like every time I'm around you, you're making everybody laugh. So I appreciate you taking the time. Anything else you want to add?
Nah, dude, we've got 1,900 miles. Wait, no, 2,100 miles left. Let's get it done.
Let's get it done. We'll do the aqueduct tonight.
Hell yeah, brother.
See what happens. See what happens after that. Appreciate you.